Inequality is one of the biggest problems facing modern society, and one of the best tools a person can use to progress through life in spite of this is knowledge. That is why I chose to volunteer at the Minneapolis Central Library as an adult homework help tutor, as it's a way I can serve those in the pursuit of knowledge and education using the skills and knowledge I've accumulated over the years. The library is aptly named as it's positioned in the heart of Minneapolis, surrounded by a mix of old and new apartments, businesses, and high rises. As I enter the library, I'm greeted with the images of parents with their kids, people of a variety of ages, races, and demographics, all congregating in the pursuit of knowledge. As I take the elevator to the floor I'm working on, I'm reminded that many people come to have access to the computers the library houses for public use, because they lack the privilege of owning one themselves. I've come to really treasure the library, as it represents a place where the access of all knowledge, in any capacity or form, is available for any and all, lending some of the privilege we all might take for granted. I usually set my coat and things on a chair or shelf and begin making my rounds for my shift, which usually amounts to a little over 3 hours. After I put on my adult homework help volunteer badge, I make my way around asking my mostly Somali students, ranging from the ages of 14 to 50, what subjects they're tackling. I was initially surprised by the sheer spectrum of subjects the students dealt with, ranging from math to English to biology, including topics like film studies and microbiology. I would do my best to draw from my experiences and analyze their coursework to find the best ways to assist them in fulfilling the requirements of the assignment. Most of this was within my expectations of tutoring, but I found that I'd need to find a way to teach my students while doing as little work of the students as I could due to time constraints between serving each of them. This is why I learned to bring my students along the process by which I found the materials essential to answering the assignment, such as using the index of the book and credible sources from the internet, as well as showing them the ways in which questions could be perceived to best understand and answer them. This method of teaching, along with my generally ebullient and indefatigable personality I brought to volunteering, was all intended to address what I perceived as the root of the problem: the lack of skills needed to effectively process knowledge, find information, solve problems for the present and future, as well as have the enthusiasm to make the whole experience an enjoyable one. Over the sessions and weeks, I had the pleasure of seeing growth in my students. While it was always satisfying seeing my students make progress in their understanding of syntax and grammar when it came to their literature and assignments, my most exciting experience was with a high school student that was in IB Biology and IB Calculus. I fed him not only the variety of tips and tricks I'd learned over the years, but also my enthusiasm, and he absorbed it all like a plant absorbs water. I'm happy I got the opportunity to try to help people in their ability to process knowledge, overcome my weakness and patience with each student, and use my strengths in creativity and ideation to come up with varied ways to convey the content. I'm also fortunate to have my eyes open to the severe effects a foreign language barrier can have not only on understanding and responding to papers or prompts, but also in the difficulty in conveying one's own thoughts, as it allowed me to better tailor my teaching methods to them. As my biggest fear was that I wouldn't find an organization or the time to serve, I'm happy to say that both of those fears were proven wrong over the last 2 months of volunteering. My definition of citizenship hasn't changed, as I still believe it's to be part of a collective, which I was with my students and my fellow volunteers. I also still believe that service is an action done that progresses a figurative and or literal area, and I hope I raised my students' abilities to process knowledge. Though I don't believe it's a civic responsibility for everyone, I believe that serving those less skilled or privileged than yourself is one of the best ways a leader can affect change in society. A lesson I plan on bringing with me into my future efforts to raise those less skilled or fortunate than myself. Wherever I go, if I have the time to give, I believe it's my responsibility to contribute to society by lending my skills and experiences to those who might learn from them. When we raise those less fortunate than us, we raise the world around us, and thus do we raise the lives we all live in.